Righty, so week 5 is behind us. Today is Friday. Although it's a campus holiday, it's just an easy rotation for me to continue as far as the weekly attendance, so that's what I'll do. Do know that because today is a campus holiday and Monday, and over the weekend, please do use the systems we've put in place for you to get help. Know that I may not be available until after Monday. So that's why I put those systems, the Discord system in place, is honestly so that you can help each other. I've noticed a few comments from you all from this class, but that is a great place to get assistance. So just know that. So this week was our transition into Bootstrap, and it seemed like most of you got through the lecture, no problem, went and looked at the docs. And this idea of reading documentation, when you first look at it, it's not meant to be readable in the sense that you just sit and read something. It's referenceable, which means you're really going there to get references, right? And so, but the sooner you get used to reading this type of online documentation, it will serve you well throughout whatever career whatever related career or directly into web development. Because trust me, it's everywhere, and knowing how to find those pieces of information. Like this week I had you just reading the docs for Bootstrap. So it kind of got me thinking about Bootstrap, right? So Bootstrap, as is most software, I mean, we talked about this with the semantic versioning, is usually going, well, almost all software, unless the software is no longer being worked on, which can happen, but most active software is going through some kind of versioning upgrade, right? So we're either doing minor updates, and I like that video because not that you'll necessarily at this part of your career be writing that, but that you understand when you see those kinds of updates, what they determine, and then you can drill down. So I thought today I would go look at kind of where is the status of Bootstrap as we stand today. And Bootstrap 5 is the latest version, but it's in beta. So I suspect many of you have heard this term beta, right? So beta just means that they've released it out to, and pretty much I think anyone in this beta example, and why I say that is sometimes when software companies or software development does a limited beta release, they only send this out to certain groups to test it. But I think Bootstrap 5 is in general beta, which means people can download it, people can use it. It's recommended you don't use it in production until they get off of beta. So beta is really that first chance for the public to look at it and to try it out. But often what happens is early adopters will go ahead and say, well, I know it's coming, I'm going to go ahead and implement it. Now, why am I talking about this? Because, and I'll talk about Project Zero in a second, because starting into week 6, which is where we're heading into, you're going to look for a Bootstrap template. And this is a really key piece of this class, because this template that you're choosing will be the thing that you will build Project Zero on. And I've really almost every semester gone through and thought about, is this the best way to teach some of these concepts? And I still believe it is, and here's why. Because hopefully many of you, or most, are taking CIT85, which is the course that naturally follows this one, where Todd McLeod only focuses on the HTML and the CSS, and no frameworks or for CSS or HTML. Most of the frameworks are for CSS, and really teaches you how to use what's already built in. So where I focus more on this class is to give you kind of a skill set, but also introduces you to some of those frameworks. Bootstrap, still very common. There are other ones out there. You're actually going to have a future discussion where you talk about those. But this week, I want you to go find a template, and just know that there should be no two people should use the same template. Don't use the one that I've shown in mine. The idea here, though, is look through enough templates to find right? One that really matches the goal of your project. So, having said that, reviewing what I saw you all post last night for your Project Zero, the review of the requirements, it seemed like most of you got a good idea of what that was, had some ideas about what you're going to create for that. Many of you are doing a vanity site, which is totally fine. I think those are easier to do. The idea of this work is really just to give you the experience of creating a site kind of, and I say this kind of in an old-fashioned way. And what that means is we're going to be creating files for pages. And you'll see this as we move in, especially as we look at the Bootstrap template this week. But here's what I want you to know is modern day websites are still built in frameworks, but also are built to where they're dynamically created often. These are static sites, right? You're putting up a page that has the HTML, the CSS, and the images, and it doesn't change dynamically based on the user going to look at it. That's why we call sites static or dynamic. So just want you to have that in your head as we move into this week, because first thing, and the other thing about week 6 is it's a little reverse. Normally I have you do the lecture, and then I have you do the discussion, the hands-on, in a normal order, right? So as we, like if I was to scroll up here, so lecture, hands-on, and current topics. So this week it's reversed. And the reason is I want you to find that template. I want you to copy it into your GitHub repo. Now, this process is really the reason I'm having you, because you find it, you download it into your local system. Often you have to unzip it because it could be zipped up into a zip file. You have to extract that. And then I want you to copy that into your GitHub IO repo. Now, I want you to do it in a subdirectory, and that's really important. I don't want you to replace what's in the root. Now, what do I mean by that? Okay. So if I look at, let's say mine, okay, right, IO, that's the root of my GitHub IO page. Okay, I must have been playing around with it and haven't updated it yet. And what you'll do is when you do the step, you'll actually, now I'm just calling it template here, it's not the name of mine, but that's the place you're creating a new folder, and generally you can follow the name of whatever your template you've selected is, okay? So you're finding that template in one of the steps this week, you're copying that template into your GitHub IO, okay? And then what you want to do is analyze, because start to analyze the code in that template. And this is really very common in web development, is you're often given somebody else's code and you have to spend some time understanding it. And I have a specific way I want you to do it using a markdown file. Now, what I'm talking about here is the place right here on the lecture where I want you to get to know that template, okay? We start it here, we end up doing it on the Thursday item. You're gonna build your site from the template, and then you're gonna learn a little more about FTP. Now, so as with every week from here to the end, they build on each other. In order for you to do Project Zero, you got to get through this week. You got to find that template. You got to copy it into your GitHub IO. You got to analyze it. You have to complete that on Thursday. And then you're going to take, and this step right here where you're going to build your site from the template, I can't tell you in my career, there's been many times I've actually had to do something like that, where either somebody had an existing site or they were using an existing template, and I had to take and glean out of that the pieces that I wanted to use or that the client wanted to use for their site. Now, it's not just copying the whole thing over, because what you want to do is only bring over the pieces that you'll use. Okay, so again, it's a little bit of a repeat for what you're going to see in the videos this week, but I want you to have that context of what we're doing. And here's the other thing. This week forward, so week 7, 8, 9, 6, 7, 8, and 9. Every week, we're going to be doing something to get you move you towards Project Zero. So the content is going to help you do that. Content's going to purposely have items that make you focus on that. So just know that that happens, okay? So what do I want in your reply? And actually, let's just go look, since I actually talked about it, right? I went and looked at the versions here. And there are, right, currently, this is what I was saying, it's out, it's in beta. It's a second beta round right now, right? It's the latest one. So the reason I kind of mentioned this too is that you may find that some of the templates that you are looking at might be Bootstrap 5. I doubt it, just because it's still relatively new, and many of the templates that are out there will be Bootstrap 4. There may even be Bootstrap 3. So that's one of the things you're going to want to look for. And I show you how to just basically search for Bootstrap templates, right? I'll show you how in the video lecture, but you can also just do Bootstrap templates, right? And you can do version 4 here to actually, so this actually has a website to do it. But I definitely recommend spending some time looking at the different ones, because one that you may be attracted to, it wouldn't hurt to spend a little time looking under it, meaning looking at the code of it. So making sure which version it is, at least taking a look at it, because we've only had 2 lectures on Bootstrap. So you're just getting another dive into Bootstrap by doing this. Okay. So I'm trying to think of what I want. Oh, the last item is the FTP. So file transfer protocol is something that has been very commonly used to move files from a local system up to a server. In our class, we're not doing the FTP process. We're using GitHub as that replacement of that, and that's a very common thing that we see, but FTP is still around and something that's used. It's becoming a little less in favor because it's not as secure. But I still want you to at least be introduced to the concept of what a FTP is. And when I taught this class probably about 4 years ago, it was fundamentally what I used because it was very popular. But over the years, that's one of the things I do. I try to look for more current relevant content for this class to give you what those prevailing skill bases are. Okay. Sound good? I don't have any specific question. Please reply with something letting me know you watched this whole thing, or a comment or a question about what I've covered this week. I will go ahead and release, as I've been trying to do, the following week in case you get there. We're going to just continue on our implementation of Project Zero and add some new content as we go through. Have a great weekend. Happy Valentine's Day, and I'll catch you next week.